I remember the first time I was looking for the G-spot with my partner. We'd had many attempts at it, a few sessions, and when we finally found it, she had some of the most intense, mind-blowing orgasms of her life. However, when we went back a few days later to find it again, it was like the G-spot had disappeared or something. We couldn't find it. It actually took us a fair amount of time to be able to find it consistently. However, if you know what the G-spot is, if you know the right techniques to use in order to stimulate the G-spot, and if you communicate with your partner, you should be able to find the G-spot every single time. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in today's video. Now, it's important to note that the G-spot isn't actually a spot, and understanding this will help you to find it more consistently. The G-spot is actually urethral sponge. So if we imagine that this bottle is our vaginal opening, then above the vaginal opening, you have the urethra or the wee hole. And that's actually 2 to 3 inches long and leads back to the bladder. Now, surrounding this urethra is something called urethral sponge, which is a erectile tissue. And just like a penis, this can expand and engorge when our partner becomes aroused. So if we imagine that this paper towel is our urethra, obviously this is not to scale, but currently our partner isn't aroused. So the urethral sponge is quite small. And if we try to actually reach and stimulate the G-spot when our partner isn't aroused, it's going to be very difficult to do. Sure, we may be able to push up and to reach it and to stimulate it, but it's not going to feel as good when our partner isn't aroused. However, if we were to get our partner aroused, we can now imagine that this paper towel is the urethral sponge, and you can see that it's now expanded in all directions and actually pushes down into the roof of the vagina. And so the urethral sponge is what the G-spot is. And now that it's fully engorged and pushing down, it's so much easier to stimulate and to give our partner that G-spot pleasure. And if we push hard enough, then we can give them an internal orgasm. So if we understand that the G-spot isn't actually a spot, but it's actually 2 to 3 inches long and it's that urethral sponge, that can help us to find it and also can help us to understand the right techniques in order to stimulate the G-spot correctly. To find the G-spot, you're going to want to go about 1 to 2 knuckles in and push up on the roof of the vagina and use a come here motion with your finger. Like we're saying, come here. And in the beginning, what we're going to be doing is just using a massage-like pressure to stimulate the area, to get our partner aroused and to engorge the area so we can expand that urethral sponge. We can also use the draw out method, which is to push up on the roof, pull out, let go of our finger, go back in and push up again, or we can even do circles on the roof there as well in order to stimulate the G-spot. So in the beginning here, the goal is not to give our partner an orgasm, but the goal is simply to stimulate the area, get it engorged so that we can build them up to an orgasm in future. While we're doing this, we want to be making sure that we're giving our partner a full body sensual experience. So yes, while we will be focusing our attention down here, we also want to be touching them all over their body, kissing them, connecting with them, making sure that they can relax into this so that they can let go and have that full body orgasm. Once our partner is fully aroused, the texture of the G-spot is often quite ridged and spongy. So if you were to put your thumb onto the roof of your mouth and feel up on the roof of your mouth, see how it's a bit ridged and it's got bumps up there? Imagine that, but being quite spongy in nature compared to the more smooth texture of the surrounding walls. That texture can be a good indicator of where the G-spot is. However, I found it's not perfect, and it's better to actually go off your partner and their reactions. When you found the G-spot, they will know that you found it. It can feel a little bit like they need to wee, kind of like they need to wee combined with intense pleasure. And once they're aroused, we can begin to really amp up the pressure with our finger, pushing harder with that come here motion. Remember, babies come out of here, so it can handle quite a lot of pressure. But what you want to make sure you're not doing is actually scratching the roof with your nail. So you want to make sure you're using the pad of your finger in order to stimulate that area. Don't scratch it with your nail, as that can be quite painful. Here you can amp up the pressure and go harder and faster in order to give them an orgasm. If here you're still struggling to find the G-spot and your partner hasn't really felt like, yes, you've hit the spot, then I would experiment with different depths and different locations. So generally the G-spot's going to be located right down the middle of our partner. So if we go in the middle, pushing up directly on the center, we're most likely to find it there. However, with some people, it can be more pleasurable to either side. So try different depths by going in deeper or even coming out shallower and trying shallower. And as well, try to the left and then try to the right and try different depths on the left and the right. Keep feeling around until your partner feels like you found it. And again, you may just need to take some more time because it can take 10, 15, 20 minutes to really build up and engorge this area enough to be able to find the G-spot. What you can also do when you found it is, yes, use the come here motion, but you can actually tense your fingers and tense the entirety of your arm. And rather than just using your finger to get the strength and the stimulation, you can actually rock your entire arm back and forth inside them in order to give them some more intense pleasure. And I've got more details on the 10 best stroking techniques in another video that I did. So go ahead and check out that video, or links will be in the description down below. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I like to leave some of the best stuff for last. And a secret tip to be able to find the G-spot easier or to be able to stimulate it more intensely with your partner is to actually push down on their stomach. So just above their mons pubis or their pubic bone, you'll notice that it goes from being bone to being squishy. You can actually use the palm of your hand in order to push down on that area. Don't push down too hard that you're going to hurt them, but you can push down a little bit, and that's actually going to push the G-spot further into the walls of the vagina and make it easier to reach and stimulate. Also, by getting your partner to tilt their pelvis up, so you could put a pillow underneath their bum, you could lift their legs up, put their legs over your shoulders, or even throw their legs over their own head. That can actually make it much more easier to reach the G-spot and stimulate the G-spot. Or alternatively, have your partner in a doggy style position, come at them from behind and actually push down onto the G-spot. And that can be a way to give them some really intense pleasure as well. And now that you're able to find the G-spot more consistently, go ahead and check out my video on the 10 different G-spot stroking techniques, where you can learn lots of different techniques to give pleasure as well as to give those intense orgasms.